Welcome to episode 61. I'm going to start right off the bat with a new episode of What's Wrong with People. So this morning, I go to the gym. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I've parked. I'm in the car, and this BMW SUV pulls into the handicap spot that's sort of across the parking lot, but in front of me. And I don't know why I was paying attention, but the lady jumps out, probably, I'm going to say 55 to 60 years old. She jumps out of the car pretty quick, got her gear on, her running shoes, looks like she's going to the gym. And I just thought it was odd because she clearly didn't need the first handicap space right next to the door. So I just sort of paid attention to it, and I get into the gym and I go to my treadmill, and just before I got started, the lady with the handicapped car jumps on the treadmill with me and starts taking off, outrunning me by miles. She's by herself. No one else got out of the car. And I could not get it off my mind of what I should do. So it went through my mind, do I confront her and make it weird? Do I tell the front desk and have them handle it? I thought about putting a note on her car, all kinds of stuff. It took me a long time to get over it because I couldn't understand it, that the car did have a handicapped tag on the rearview mirror, but she clearly was not at all disabled or in need of help. So I figured out in my mind that she probably borrowed her parents' car, took it to the gym, and took full advantage of the parking. So my question is, what should I have done? Should I have done something, confronted her? I didn't. Maybe I should have, or I wimped out. Should I have gone to the desk? What would you all do? So if you're listening to this, I'd love to know if it happened again, what's my plan for that? But it was odd, and it kept bugging me, but then it bugged me that she's probably 10 to 15 years older than me and outran me by a mile. I was just chugging along. But anyway, that's my what is wrong with people, and I wasn't quite sure how to handle it. Probably could have done better. But I do have good news. Earlier today, Annie sent me a text. She bought a plane ticket home. She will be home on December 19th. It's been bugging me recently that I have not seen her since June. And then I've actually added up the amount of days I've seen her in 2023. And it's currently at 15. And that's just crazy. Where it happened. When did this life change happen to me? And you always hear when you're young parents that you have to enjoy your kids while they're around because it'll go so quick and they're going to be gone. And I didn't, people told me that. And when you're in it, I don't think you can quite understand that. But all of a sudden, it seems like I went from every day to 15 days. And it'll be about 25, I think, once she comes home. So anyway, we also had our first Thanksgiving without Annie. Really weird, kind of bummed me out. Doing the Christmas tree bummed me out too. So Annie, come home. We can do all our old stuff. Today's a big day in my world. Most of you that know me well know that I run a half marathon every April. It's how I test whether I'm still a healthy adult. And today was my first official training run for the 2024 Derby Festival Marathon in Louisville. It's on April 28th, 3 days after my 50th birthday, so it'll be a big test. But I'll be reporting on another round of training. It was good. I've been doing quite a bit, mostly walk, but I feel pretty good about it. I've got my buddy's Flamer, my dad's going. I think my brother Mark's going. Dr. J, Nisha's back in. We're trying to get Frika. So anyway, you'll hear about that a little bit because this is where I talk about stuff going on. That leads me to tomorrow morning, another big day. It's weigh-in day. So if you've listened to my podcast, there was definitely several in a row where I discussed my situation with gaining weight in the winter, and it's definitely started. I do exercise, I run, walk pretty much every day, put a lot of miles in, but I also eat way more than someone of my size and situation should eat. So we are starting with my group another weigh-in. I went from last time we started this, I was about 180, 182 and dropped all the way down to 168. And this time, I don't think I'm that high. It's been a while, I could be, but I have to start the battle with my eating demons. So please, if you see me, don't be carrying around chocolate or cookies or brownies or anything. If you've got food in your hand, please stay away from me beginning tomorrow. That also sort of leads me to my, I know I've talked about stretching a lot. I'm still not doing it. But last week in the office, Kayla grabbed the Theragun, and if you're not aware of those, it's like this, I don't know, some piece of equipment you might buy at Home Depot to knock down walls or a building, or maybe put a hole in concrete or repave your driveway. It is a horrible, horrible machine. When it hit my calf, I almost cried. I may have cried a bit. I definitely started sweating and was in serious pain. And I think the goal was to make me believe I should be stretching. But all it did for me was make me want to take more ibuprofen than I already do. So I'm struggling with the stretching thing. But that Theragun, it's a serious deal. The thing is, I didn't feel great afterwards. I didn't all of a sudden be able to run faster and jump higher. But I think I might see the value in a torture situation, but I'm not sure of a health and fitness situation. Something I didn't see value in was yesterday, if anybody saw it. I think it was Thanksgiving. Maybe it was Friday. Might have been Thanksgiving games, but either way, Dolly Parton was the halftime entertainment of one of the football games. On the field, doing that stuff. It's always usually kind of lame. If it's a pop star, sometimes it's cool. If it's a rock band, like when Prince did it, Michael Jackson's probably the most famous one. But so it's Dolly Parton, an American legend in the music world, specifically country music and acting. Anyway, she's very popular, and I have nothing against her. But I thought it was awful. I thought it was embarrassing. It's not her fault. Her team of people should have not allowed her to do that. They should have said no and not put her in that situation. It was lip synced like they all are, and it was lip synced badly. The sad part was she had to hold on to like the railing of the set the whole time. She just walked back and forth with her hand because she's 77 now. Probably can't jump around like she used to. But I just felt badly for her. But then I read all these news posts and social media about how great she was, and she blew it away. And I just think people aren't seeing the real stuff. And then the other thing is, she did covers of 2 Queen songs. So picture Dolly Parton, she did We Are the Champions. Why? How does that connect with Dolly freaking Parton? Play some of her stuff. She did Jolene and 9 to 5. And then she went straight to covering Queen songs. And who told her that was cool? Like, it was all recorded. So it sounded fine because she was lip syncing. But I just don't understand the Dolly Parton going from 9 to 5 to Queen right away. I may be the only one that thought it was pretty rough, but I did not enjoy it at all. I felt bad for her. So my next book review, because it's been a while, I finished a book called Being Henry. It's written by Henry Winkler about his life, the Fonz, and a lot of other stuff. Again, I highly recommend it. Really interesting. I didn't know it. Henry Winkler was dyslexic. He could not read his lines. He stressed him out. He couldn't read them. Imagine having to read all those lines and memorize them, but not being able to read them. So he found different ways, and he always got himself in trouble because he was making things up all the time. And because he didn't quite know what the scenes called for, so he would make it up, which is partly why he is good. But turns out he is about as opposite of the Fonz from Happy Days as you can get. He's admittedly highly insecure about what he does. He tries really hard. He just wants to be liked. He thinks pretty negative on a lot of things. He and I would probably get along with my low expectations ideas. He didn't want to be Fonzie after Happy Days was over. He tried really hard to separate himself. He wanted to be a serious actor. He was actually trained on doing Shakespeare on stage. So he was not trained to do TV. And he fought for years to not have anything to do with the Fonzie character after it was over. He also went for years without finding work, struggling financially, even after he did Happy Days and some of the other early things. And then he found Arrested Development, and then Barry, which I haven't seen, which has won multiple awards. And now he's in all kinds of stuff. But I'd highly recommend it. Great book. Talks about how he ended up. He packed his stuff up, moved to LA, slept on couches, didn't have any money, all the usual things you might hear from a young actor. But great book, definitely recommend. I will give it a 4.9 out of 5.5. Last one. This is going to be a short one today, and then I got a little bit of tennis. I posted this on my social media. Everybody that's listening to this, you must find the podcast Smartless. I've talked about it before. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite style. Just three friends talking. They have a subject but are free to go wherever they want with it. But they interviewed John McEnroe. This happened just before the U.S. Open, so it's a couple months ago. But it's amazing. You have to listen to it. Don't listen to another word I speak. Just go find it, and don't waste your time on me. Interesting things I found. He was talking about the injuries to Nadal, Alcaraz, sort of these athletic grinder type players. And John McEnroe in his entire career never had a surgery. Never got hurt. Minor things, but no surgery. Nothing knocked him off the tour. He attributes it to playing multiple sports and not going to the gym. He said he kept himself in good cardio physical shape, but did nothing in the gym, didn't like lifting weights, didn't put himself through that. And obviously at that time, the people who were playing didn't require that of him. So I get it's different generations, but no surgeries. That much running and swinging and jumping, and never had it. I thought that was super interesting. Really good discussion on current equipment versus what he played with. I believe he said he is the last U.S. Open winner with used a wooden racket, something like that. But he really stressed he thinks it's insane about these young juniors going off to tennis academies and dropping all sports, and he really is adamant about playing multiple sports, and how much better the athletes are that do that, and less injuries, and they enjoy the game more. Talks about how if he had been shipped off as a kid to an academy, he would have quit. He says there's no way he would have made it. But listen to it. One of the best things about it, he just destroys pickleball. He goes on a rant and just bashes it. So if you don't like pickleball, you will enjoy his comments on it. And he plays now. He played in a couple of pro-ams. He obviously gets paid for it, and it's on TV. And but man, he lets it rip on pickleball, and it was pretty entertaining to hear. All two of the three hosts did as well. But find it Smartless with John McEnroe. So I'm reading this book. It's a series. I bounce between all different kinds of books. I really like books about whodunits, military stuff. Somebody's killed or missing, and they bring in some ex-Navy SEAL who's gotten himself in trouble, and now he's working for the government, and he's got to go find these people and save the day. Kind of Born Identity stuff. I kind of dig that. So this one I'm reading now is about basically a guy who was going to be kicked out of a high level of military for whatever reason, and they made him a deal that if he would work for them in secret and do the nation's dirty work, he could go on with his life and not be kind of lose his career. So kind of does these difficult jobs. Anyway, he talks about, and I don't know if this is true. I have Googled it, I've searched it, I actually spent some time on it. I couldn't find anything, but he talks about something the Navy SEALs, these high level groups like the SEALs, the Green Berets, that level, the ones that do crazy stuff, that they had a philosophy or a saying called K.I.M, K-I-M, Kim Recon, which meant keep in mind, which I'm reading the book and it's a made up story, but it's entertaining. And he talks about how that means that they were trained to look at as many different details as possible with the ability and intention to recall them later. So put that into your tennis matches, your pickleball matches. As you're playing, as soon as that first ball is hit, you walk on the court, you're in your warm-up, you got to start looking. Look for everything. Every detail you can see and plan on remembering, needing to use those things later. I had a group Friday morning. It was 3 players. I've had a lot, and then one I know well, but I've probably never seen them play tennis. So we talked about using the first 10 to 15 minutes to find out what she was good at, bad at, how she played. And within 10 or 15 minutes, we figured some things out. Did not like to hit backhands. Always ran around. Wasn't because backhand was weak, just preferred it. So we talked about how you've got to see that, and it opens up court. Could mean that someone is avoiding it. Could just mean they love their forehand, right? And understand, what does that mean? She runs around, she's in the corner, it opens up the middle of the court, right? Learned that really struggled with high backhands. So we talked about save that up. You get in a big moment, you've got a lob, find that high backhand. And just sort of always be looking for things you can use later. It doesn't mean you need it at that moment, but if you can recall it and remember it, you might pick that thing out one time in a big moment. Think of it this way, remembering what they did in previous situations, different locations on the court, different types of shots, high balls, hard balls, slow balls, slice, hit them a big topspin. What side of the court? What was the score in these situations? And what happened? So when those come up later, you can use that. So if in the warm-up, you give somebody overheads, and every time they take a step to their left, they dump it in the net, right? Or anytime you hit a deep one, they've got to retreat, right? They miss it. Anything. And so I just thought keep in mind is a great way to walk on the court and think about everything you might need. And the situation in the book was, he is, not that you're going to read this book, but he is trapped in a room, the usual. He's in a chair in the middle of the room, hands duct taped and zip tied, and his captors made a mistake. And he talks about it. They made the worst mistake they could make. They left him alone. And so he had time to figure out how to get out. And this is where this came up, because while they were walking him and taking him into the room, he was seeing things. And he knew if they left him alone, he had a way out. And then he did some superhero Born Identity stuff and somehow broke the duct tape, broke the zip ties, smashed a window, made some sort of knife at it, ended up killing all 3 of his captors and got away because he was prepared. And it's a book and it's made up. But I just thought it was a great thing. So remember Kim. Keep everything in mind. What's happening all the time, right? Same thing, because I steal all my stuff from reading and talking to people, but talks about his time in the military and how someone asked him in the book, how do you stay so prepared for everything? And his 3 things were slow training, deep practice, and fast execution. I'm not exactly sure. I think the slow training is somewhere I fail on. I'm better in private lessons, and I've talked about it before. I go pretty quick. I want people to get their exercise, have some fun, keep the pace up real fast. But in private lessons, the slow training, I would say, is drop feeding, using the orange balls, red balls, even with adults, right? That having the coach stand right next to you, drop the ball to you, do it again, drop the ball. Repetition, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Probably more feeding style. The deep practice, I think that's probably match play. It's what I led it to, is just practicing points, competition over and over and over and over and over. And then that fast execution is just being able to do it when it matters. But again, I just thought those were things maybe a player could think about or add to their mental toolbox about how to keep in mind. I thought it's great. I got to keep reading because I can't make up any of my own stuff like that. I have to steal it. All right, so that's mostly what I've got. I do want to mention, some of you saw it, I did start a new Instagram account. It's called Order on the Courts Podcast. It's just for my podcast things. Posting videos, sound clips, new podcasts, anything related to what I talk about. My other one I have, Ficks-Tennis and Pickleball, I still use it. It's going to be sort of general random tennis stuff. But I'm going to try to use this new one and see how it works. So if you're on Instagram, you can find that Order on the Courts Podcast. At the WAC, and this is for members and guests, Friday, December 8th, I believe, we're having a Battle-Out demo day, so we'll have all the rackets there. You can sign up by calling the front desk, or if you're a WAC member, you can use the WAC Tennis app. It's Friday the 8th at 6:30 for a couple hours. Jeff is going to be running it. There's going to be play and use of all the rackets. And then a new one, we're going to do junior pickleball for the first time. Crap, I just smashed the trash can. Junior pickleball, December 16th at the WAC, 11:30 to 12:30 is 9 to 11-year-olds. 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. still on the 16th is our 12 to 14-year-olds. So that is open to members and guests as well. So if you've got kids in your family that would want to learn the basics of pickleball, they are welcome to join that. That's signed up by calling the front desk, or you can email me. That's it. You can follow all my stuff on Facebook, Ficks-Tennis and Pickleball, YouTube, same thing. I throw a few things up on TikTok just for fun. Today I posted some food. And lastly, before I go, today's a big day. The mighty Indianapolis Colts won their 3rd game in a row, currently 6-5, and are in the playoffs if the season ended today. So without our quarterback, new coach, it's pretty good place to be right now. Got a victory. So thanks everybody. That's it, and I'll talk to y'all later.